Hello YouTube, this is Marauders here, and this is the Razer Raiju Tournament Edition. So this is the new competitive gamepad, PS4 gamepad from Razer. So because it's competitive, first thing is that it has grips, so these are their rubber grips so your hands don't slide off. And the thumbsticks also have some built-in grippy material. They don't feel like the stock ones, it's slightly more grippier. Then it has, unlike a regular PS4 gamepad, this has the Xbox style non-symmetrical analog stick placement. Some people like that. Personally, I think the reason they have this is because they use the Razer Wolverine shell, which is the Xbox One controller for this thing, so that's why it's like this. And of course, as with most pro controllers, there are extra buttons here and here, so that when you're playing a shooter or something, instead of having to move your thumb up to press a jump when you're trying to jump, you can just reach over and basically press the bumper, so you can keep turning and tracking your enemy if you need to jump, because you don't need to move your thumb off the thumbstick to access the functions on the face button. This is actually a very important function, and this is like the main reason why I get controllers like this. Now, unlike the old Razer Raiju or the Ultimate Edition, the Tournament Edition, you cannot map these extra buttons on the controller. So you need to press this configure button, and then it will pair the controller to an Android or iOS device. So you need to download their Razer app in order to configure this controller. Now, the other pro competitive feature that the Raiju Tournament Edition has is that these are hyper reactive buttons. So these buttons have a very short travel distance, so they very quickly activate and you very quickly hit the stop. So if you need to press this fast, your fingers physically will know that you have hit them very fast, and it's more responsive, if you want to say it that way. The other thing is, of course, we have the trigger locks. So normally a trigger, you have to pull this fast down. So if you are frantically pulling the trigger, you may spend like a few milliseconds to reach the maximum. So once you engage the trigger lock, the travel distance is very short. So you can technically pull 0 to 100% of a trigger much more faster. So these are all things that competitive controllers offer, so that you should be able to give you that extra edge in it. Now, the Raiju Tournament Edition is not just a Bluetooth controller. You can use it in a USB mode or Bluetooth mode. The interesting thing here is that for Bluetooth, you can set two profiles. So you can set it to either PS4 or PC. And when you set it to PC and you pair with your PC, you don't lose your PS4 pairing. You can just switch it back to PS4, and then you will pair with the PS4 again. And the other thing is that in Bluetooth mode, the controller can wake up your PS4. So this is a standard USB micro A interface, but it's just that Razer made a special sort of hook on the body, so that it's a bit harder for the cable to disconnect when you're using it. So it's actually a normal USB cable, just that the side guard here is specially designed. So if you lose this cable or this cable is damaged, as long as you can find a cable to stick inside here and reach the connectors, you can still use it. But when in wire mode, you cannot wake up the PS4 like any other third-party controller, I think. So because this is a PS4 controller, you have your usual touchpad here. So this just works like a normal touchpad. And But the problem now here is that on the internet, you can see a lot of people complaining about the Razer Raiju Tournament Edition having a weird analog drift problem. And I myself had experienced that, so I actually complained on Twitter about the analog drift issue. So the firmware for the Raiju Tournament Edition on the Razer's website, on the public website right now is 1.01, but if you request it from Razer support, they will give you a 1.02 beta edition. So when you use the beta edition firmware, I mean, after I used it, the drift problems were mostly gone. I mean, after applying the firmware and testing it for another 2 weeks, I had one incident of the drift issue, and it only happened in wired mode, but that was it. Everything else seems to be working properly, so I think the 1.02 beta firmware would fix the drift problems. The interesting thing here is, why doesn't Razer release the firmware to public yet? So on the Razer website, you can only get 1.01. So if you're having problems with the tournament edition with the 1.1 firmware, you need to talk to Razer support on their Twitter or something, and yeah, they'll give you the link to download the 1.02 firmware. The other funny problem with the Raiju Tournament Edition is that now obviously because this is a Bluetooth controller, there's a battery inside here. While it seems obvious that because this is a PS4 controller, you should be able to just plug the cable in and plug it to the PS4 and it will just charge the batteries. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I have not been able to get the PS4 to charge this controller normally on a regular basis. I only managed to see it charging one time. I didn't even expect it to charge. It was like I just kept the controller in Bluetooth mode, and I kept it plugged into the PS4, and suddenly I saw it start charging. But for the most part, the way I charge this controller is that I just plug it into a USB charger that I have and charge it like that. If you want more information, leave a comment. I will make a video about that charging problem because it's a very weird issue. Now overall, this controller feels fine. It feels well built. Okay, but it's hard for me to recommend to everyone for two reasons. First of all, one thing you have to remember is that your skills at playing the game is what's the most important thing of giving you a competitive advantage when you're playing a game. So just because you buy a competitive professional esports controller, it's not going to make you good at a game just like that. But the other reason why I can't recommend the Raiju Tournament Edition to everyone is that this thing is expensive. In Malaysia, the Raiju Tournament Edition costs about half of a PlayStation 4. The Raiju Ultimate Edition costs about the same as a standard PS4. Okay, so these are very expensive controllers. So you need to ask yourself whether, yes, I play games at such a high level that I would like to commit that kind of money to my gameplay experience, to my playing experience. Okay, so all in all, I would say the Razer Raiju Tournament Edition, it's a great controller. It works. It does what it says in the box. It's well built. It has all the mappable buttons, the quick fire trigger stops. Those do give a slight advantage. I wouldn't say it gives it's like a sure OP advantage, but it's a slight advantage. But because it's so expensive, I can't recommend it for everyone. Okay, so that's the Razer Raiju Tournament Edition, and this is Marauders. I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.